An ash plume billows from the crater atop Mount St. Helens hours after its eruption began on May 18, 1980, in Washington state. The column of ash and gas reached 15 miles into the atmosphere, depositing ash across a dozen states. The eruption, a V5 event, was the only significant volcanic eruption to occur in the contiguous 48 U.S. Mount St. Helens, as it looked the day before its massive eruption, on May 17, 1980, states since the 1915 eruption of Lassen Peak in California. However, it has often been declared as the most disastrous volcanic eruption in United States history. On May 17, 1980, volcanologist David Johnston sits at Coldwater 2 camp near Mount St. Helens. At 8:32 a.m. the next morning, Johnston radioed a message to the USGS headquarters, Vancouver, this is it. Johnston did not survive the eruption. Coldwater 2 was later renamed Johnston Ridge in honor of Johnston. The eruption was preceded by a 2-month series of earthquakes and steam venting episodes caused by an injection of magma at shallow depth below the volcano that created a large bulge and a fracture system on the mountain's north slope. Mount St. Helens erupts again on July 22, 1980. Helens, as it looked the day before its massive eruption, on May 17, 1980. On March 27, after hundreds of additional earthquakes, the volcano produced its first eruption in over 100 years. Mount St. Helens erupts on May 18, 1980. Steam explosions blasted a 60 to 75 meter, 200 to 250 foot wide crater through the volcano's summit ice cap and covered the snow-clad southeast sector with dark ash. Steam blast, Friedrich, eruption from the summit crater of Mount St. Mount St. Helens, May 18, 1980. Helens on April 6, 1980. Within a week the crater had grown to about 400 meters, 1,300 feet, in diameter, and 2 giant crack systems crossed the entire summit area. Ash clouds from Mount St. Helens move over Ephrata Airport in Washington on Monday, May 19, 1980. Communities across central and eastern Washington were covered in 3 to 5 inches of gritty, fine ash particles. The eruption column rose 80,000 feet, 24 kilometers, 15 mi, into the atmosphere and deposited ash in 11 U.S. house is submerged along the Toutle River, which flooded in the aftermath of the eruption of Mount St. Helens on May 19, 1980. Area streams and rivers rose quickly as ice and snow on the volcano melted instantly. States at the same time, snow, ice and several entire glaciers on the volcano melted, forming a series of large lahars, volcanic mudslides, that reached as far as the Columbia River, nearly 50 miles, 80 kilometers, to the southwest. A logging operation along the Toutle River, Washington, about 20 miles from Mount St. Helens, in ruins after flooding from ice and snow melt from the mountain in May of 1980. Less severe outbursts continued into the next day, only to be followed by other large, but not as destructive, eruptions later that year. Thermal energy released during the eruption was equal to 26 megatons. Bob Brown, left, and his brother John attempt to lead 3 horses to safety out of the Weyerhaeuser 19-mile camp in Kidd Valley, Washington. The yard was flooded by the Toutle River following the eruption of Mount St. Helens. Approximately 57 people were killed directly, including innkeeper Harry R. Truman, photographers Reed Blackburn and Robert Landsberg, and geologist David A. Bob Brown, Wright, and John Brown climb onto railroad car heading down the train along with 2 additional would-be horse rescuers, giving up their efforts as they flee for their lives as flood waters from the Toutle River begin a sudden rise on May 19, 1980. All 4 people reached safety, but the horses are presumed to have drowned. Johnston hundreds of square miles were reduced to wasteland, causing over 1 billion U. Steam rises from hot water in a river following the aftermath of the eruption of Mount St. Helens on May 19, 1980. $s in damage, $3. Aerial view of timber blowdown destroyed by the May 18 eruption of Mount St. Helens in Skamania County, Washington on June 8, 1980. $0.3 billion in 2017. Thousands of animals were killed, and Mount St. Helens was left with a crater on its north side. The crater left at the summit of Mount St. Helens after it lost more than 1,300 feet of elevation to the catastrophic landslide and eruption of May 18, 1980, the surrounding landscape still steaming. At the time of the eruption, the summit of the volcano was owned by the Burlington Northern Railroad, but afterward the land passed to the United States Forest Service. The area was later preserved, as it was, in the Mount Street. Blowdown of trees from the May 18, 1980, eruption of Mount St. Helens, viewed on August 22, 1980. Helens National Volcanic Monument, photo credit, USGS Cascades Volcano Observatory AP. Damaged equipment on south side of Elk Rock, northwest of Mount St. Helens, in Cowlitz County, Washington, on June 5, 1980.